I tried eating the same meals for 30 days straight to see if I could get my weight over 180 pounds, which I've never done before, and I need to gain over 6 pounds in under a month. Could I do it? So I had three main goals with this challenge. What I wanted to do was to prove to people that with a consistent, simple plan, anybody can lose or gain weight, even if they've struggled with it in the past. Which is something that I've definitely struggled with in the past, is trying to put on weight. When I simplified things down, I was able to see some success. The second thing that I wanted to do was explore both the mental and the emotional side that would come up by having something so restrictive and so repetitive. I've never really put that many restrictions on my diet, and I wanted to see what would come up and what people have gone through by restricting their diets, and how potentially being too strict can cause you to rebound. And of course, with this challenge, my last goal is definitely to hit that 180 marker, which I've never hit, and I'm going to do it this month. So before we go over how each week went, let's go over the rules that I've set out for myself. Number one is that I have to eat the exact same breakfast, lunch, dinner, and my 2 snacks every single day with very small variations. I am allowing myself to mix up the herbs and spices and the sauces that I am putting on these foods, and also which vegetables I'm actually picking. So same amount of vegetables every week, but they can change what the actual vegetable is. The other rule that I'm laying out is that over the Christmas holidays, I am going to allow myself some flexibility with any like Christmas type meals to eat those meals, but I still have to hit 3,400 calories. The reason why I've done that is because I think that having relationships and those times with friends and family are really important to us as well. So I'm giving myself flexibility there, but still getting the same caloric intake. It's just gonna give me the opportunity to have slightly different foods. All right, so let's take a quick look at exactly what was in my meal plan. So for breakfast, what I was having was 4 eggs and 5 ounces of steak. On top of that, I was having a smoothie that had avocado, banana, spinach, and protein powder in it. That was my breakfast. Then I went on to my snack, which was an apple. Lunchtime was a cup and a half of rice, 2 cups of vegetables, and 6 ounces of chicken breast. Then I had another snack, which was just a simple banana. And for dinner, I was having, again, a cup and a half of rice, 2 cups of vegetables, and 5 ounces of ground beef. And that made up my total calories for each and every day for a month. So to get started, I did an absolute ton of prep. I had almost 10 days worth of food right off the start. What I found out later was that I was gonna wanna do a little bit shorter periods just to keep it fresher. But day one of eating, I couldn't believe just how much more food it was compared to what I was used to. Normally I was sitting at that 2,400, jumped all the way to 3,400, so an extra 1,000 calories right off the hop seemed like a lot for my body. The breakfast wasn't so bad, but by the time I got to my lunch and my dinner, it took me so much longer to eat than what it would normally take me. I would just sit there and scoop, take a bite, and it was just so long and so much food. I felt bloated, I felt so full, but I was determined to get it done anyways, get the food in, and I knew that eventually my body would adjust. And luckily, that happened pretty quickly. What I noticed already by the second day was that a lot of it actually came down to meal timing and just making sure I spaced that all out. But for sure, my body was probably already starting to adjust a little bit. One big thing that I did notice as the weeks went by though, was that in week 1, I felt like I was really overeating. And by week 3, that had completely gone away. And in fact, I was almost like driving more hunger, even though I was eating more than what I was before. So that was super interesting. Kind of to recap week 1, I would say like the first couple days, pretty difficult getting that big quantity of food in. But by later in the week, I was just actually loving it. I didn't have to think about food. I knew I had enough fuel. Like there was just no thought put into food. I just grabbed my container, ate it, and continued on with my day, which was actually really, really nice feeling to have. So then I would say week 2 is where things definitely got really interesting in the fact that it didn't necessarily relate to food that I noticed the difference, but other things like the decision fatigue on what to eat was just completely eliminated. I knew meals were happening. And the other thing was when I went to go get groceries, I was so fast in there. It was just like boom, 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 get the things I need, get out. You're not looking at anything else. because you're having the exact same meals you already prepped. You know exactly how much you need even. So meal prep was super fast, super convenient. Instead of changing it up every week, it was like, no, you're just doing the exact same thing. So meal prep and groceries went really fast, and I didn't have to think about food at all. The other huge thing that I really started to notice on the tail end of that first week and into the second week was how much my digestion was changing. It was already like, I can't say I have bad digestion, but my bowel movements got so good, which I realized some people were kind of like, ew, gross, but seriously, I was so consistent and it was so good. And I think that it was attributed to the extra fiber I was having and just how consistent it was with the meals that I was eating. So those are some of the big things I noticed in week 2, is that like the decision making part, the mental part was just so easy and so fast, and digestion was incredible, probably the best it's been in a long time. It's really funny how much things can change from week to week. Week 1 I was like, oh, a lot of food. Week 2 I was like, this is awesome. What happened in week 3 was totally unexpected for me after how good the previous 2 weeks went, all things considered. Week 3 came and I was just so incredibly tired of eating the same foods over and over and over. Now, I did say that I was going to be pretty strict on what I was eating. One thing I did give myself freedom on was like choosing sauces and stuff like that, to just like give it a little bit, right? And what I found was that by week 3, I was starting to add more and more sauce to it because I was just so tired of eating the same thing, and I was going with more like adventurous spices than what I would normally go, and more of it on there. Again, because I was just like, could not imagine eating that same meal again and again. But I stuck with it, even though I was really tired of it. The first 4 to 5 days of the week really sucked. Near the end of the week, I started to see a little bit of light, knowing what was coming in week 4. But for me, it was really just like the same things over and over. So what I ended up doing, which just honestly made it so much worse, was I just started pushing the meals back into laying them. Like, there was multiple days where I didn't have my breakfast until about noon, which meant I was having breakfast, my snack, and lunch, and trying to get those all in relatively quick so that I could still eat dinner at a decent time. But I ended up just pushing everything back and like starting my food at like noon, and then I'd eat my breakfast and my snack, and I was full for a long time. So then my lunch was coming about dinner time. So then dinner was literally only like an hour or two after, and it was so much food. There was even 2 days where I had lunch and dinner at like in the same sitting. I just mixed it all together. I was like, whatever, just got to get it in me. And I just sat there and ate and ate and ate. I swear I was eating for like half an hour. This massive, think like a big salad bowl of food, just shoveling it in. And I felt so full and so bloated and like didn't feel good from that. Even though it was technically the exact same quantity of food, like because I didn't space it out, it totally threw everything off and I was so sick of the food. But by the very end, I knew that in week 4, I knew I was going to be getting a break a little bit. So I had something to look forward to, in the sense that I knew Christmas was coming and I was going to get to break it for a couple of days. So how it ended up actually playing out was that I didn't have anything too special planned right up until Christmas Day itself. So I stuck to it 100% to Christmas Day. Then on Christmas Day, I did have like a Christmas dinner with some family. And that gave me like a really big reset, even in the days leading up to it, knowing that it's like, hey, in like 3 more days, I get to eat some turkey and have something different. Felt really, really good. And then things started to get immediately better after that. Just by having that day where I like had something different, life was suddenly a lot better again. And I didn't totally know what my Christmas plans were going to be, but how it worked out was I had Christmas dinner the 25th, a second Christmas dinner on the 27th, and then after that I went to the mountains. So from the 28th to the end of the month, I was actually just eating basically like regular meals, because I was in the mountains and not going to have access to being able to bring like my meal prep with me. So it did end up ending a little bit early, but I took some huge lessons out of this experience. And what those would be is that, like, if you have a goal that you're trying to reach and you feel like you're not having success with it, as much as you don't want to, look at going strict like this for a short period of time, just to see if is what you're doing actually working, and it's just that you're being too flexible on it. A lot of times I'll work with people and they'll be like, okay, here's the calories we're going to follow, but there's too many like off days that you end up not getting the results you're looking for. Whereas if you just say, I'm going to literally eat the exact same thing and I know exactly what the calories are going to be for this whole month, you'll be able to look and see like, oh, it's actually the fact that I'm cheating on my meals a lot versus the plan isn't actually working. Because I said, okay, I want to see if I can gain this weight, how fast I can gain this weight, and I jumped 1,000 calories. And by doing that and keeping it consistent, I gained over 6 pounds. And I actually, not only did I hit that 180 goal, I actually got a pound over that. I finished off at 181. So I went from 174 to 181 pounds in under a month because I did that final weigh-in on the 28th. So in 28 days, I put on that 7 pounds just by keeping things very consistent and repetitive, knowing that I was getting it in. So I think that was one of my biggest takeaways is I think a lot of people, whether you're trying to gain or lose weight, just get more consistent with it and be more dialed in and you're gonna get there. The other big thing was like just how much the mental game started to play into it and the emotions of being that restrictive. While I think you can get faster results by being very strict, obviously, I also think that you do need to give yourself these little breaks or you're going to fall off the deep end and really rebound hard, which is what we see a lot. Like for me, by the end of it, when I was in that third week and I was just so tired of that food, all I could think about was like, once this thing's done, I'm going to have pizza, I'm going to have fries, burgers, ice cream, chocolate bars, like all of the stuff that I normally wouldn't even, like normally don't eat that much of it, but because I was that restrictive on and eating the exact same thing over and over, I got to this point where I just wanted to like rebound extra hard the other direction. So I think if I was to do it again, which I've already kind of been thinking about that and reflecting on things, I think I would do it again, but I would do it slightly different. I would just go 3 weeks strict, 1 week off, 3 weeks strict, 1 week off, because I found for myself I got such good results with it that I'm okay with restricting it and then just being free for the week and then restricting and being free. Everyone has different choices there on what they need to do for themselves, but for me, I think that's something that I might consider in the future. So to wrap things up from the last 30 days of eating the same meals, what I would say is that consistency and discipline are the keys to success. And if you just simplify your approach, follow the math, whether you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, you're going to be able to do it. A lot of the times it's the small things that we're doing that we don't realize. So really get strict on it and just follow such a simple plan, you're going to be able to get the results that you're looking for. And of course, I'm super happy with it. I hit that 180 pounds. So let me know in the comments if you guys would ever try something this restrictive for a month to get to your goal. Or if you think you'd die if you had to eat the exact same thing every single day. By the way, make sure that you subscribe because I'm going to be doing future challenges that I think you're going to find interesting.